Okay, so hey, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So today is another episode of the McGee Firm's interview with the experts. As you guys may know, we try and do this several times a year. Also, all of this will get posted on our social media, so you'll be able to rewatch it in the future. But today we have Kim Miller here. Hi, Kim. Thank you for
Hi,
coming.
everybody.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Kim is with All County Property Management Group. You are the owner, is that correct?
I am the owner,
Okay.
broker,
So you're
leader.
real estate broker as
Mhm.
well as property manager, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So how long have you owned this company for? How long have y'all been in operation?
We opened it in 2014 in All
Okay.
County. It's a franchise, and All County's been around since 1990.
Okay, awesome. Where's the franchise out of?
Florida.
Florida. Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Lots of rental properties in Florida, right? So
quite a
a lot of
few. Yeah,
retirees
yeah.
there. So tell us a little bit about your company and why because as a broker, you could have focused real heavily into the sales side, right? But
Hmm.
as it is, you're pretty focused on the management side.
We are.
So what kind of how did that transpire?
Well, we did a lot of research on companies that we wanted to start, and the what really stood out to us is the annuity-based business model of property management.
Okay.
And it's not a one-time deal, it's just a continual thing that it produces.
Okay.
And it's very uh, recession proof
Oh yeah. Okay.
and things like that. So it seemed to be a more solid
Stable.
business. Mhm.
Yeah, so I understand. So basically, whenever you're helping somebody buy or sell, it's just sort of a one transaction and it's over.
Right.
And so now you're able to kind of stay involved as a business person throughout the long haul potentially.
Yeah.
So for the people who are going to watch that maybe don't really know a lot about property management, kind of tell us like who's kind of your we'll say a common client and who are they? What do they need from you, and what do you offer that person?
So our most common client are real estate investors, but we also work with people, maybe they're in the military
Okay.
or they're relocating to another job and they don't want to sell their house, but they want to keep it and possibly move back. So that's one of the other clients we work with, people
Okay.
that may have inherited a property and don't know what in the world to do with it, and they don't really want to sell it, but it doesn't need to sit there. And then just your people that or have one property they just need to rent, or like for example, some people will buy their college students
Oh yeah.
college housing,
Right.
and then they need, then they graduate, and then what do
Yeah.
they do with it? Well, they turn that into an investment
Okay.
property as well.
So tell us what kind of from start to finish, if I come to you and I say, hey, I'm about to buy a home, it's going to be a rental property.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, what are you from A to Z, what are you going to do for me if I'm looking at hiring you to be the manager?
Okay. Yeah, we offer like three different management options. The owner can choose the level of service that best fits their needs. So
Okay.
if they have this flexibility allows some of your people that have hands-on investors to people that want a complete turnkey solution. So
Okay.
they would come to us. We would kind of check out where their property is, do some comparative market analysis, and we can start at any point. If maybe they've gotten it from probate, maybe
Okay.
they um, bought it from somebody that has a tenant that we need to deal with, we at any point. So when they come on, really it's really pretty easy. They sign the management agreement and we do their job for them.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and when you say do your job for them, so basically, like what, but nuts and bolts, is that you're collecting the rent
So
or what?
yeah, we'll do all of the leasing. So
Okay.
we do all of the screenings for the tenants. We write up the
Okay.
leases. We'll go and do the inspections to document the condition of the property before the tenants move in. We do collect the rent. We handle
Okay.
all the legalities if with payments and things of that nature.
Yeah.
We do the renewals, and we'll do renewal
Okay.
inspections. And then when they move out, we do the whole security process, which
Nice.
means we do another inspection to document the condition of the property and then compare the two and then process that as if we were, having to go to court. So we kind of look at that from the owner's perspective and just.
Okay. And then if they're, let's say that the house ends up having there's a bad rainstorm comes and there's a leak in the roof and water's coming in the house, or it's the middle of August and the air conditioner goes kaput, or
Mhm.
what's your involvement in those issues?
We handle all the maintenance.
Okay.
If the people that are on the full management, we will handle that.
Okay.
We have trusted vendors that we've worked with for years that we work with and just handle those. We're always in communication with the owner if there's a problem with that. And one of the things that kind of differentiates us is we don't make money off of maintenance. We feel like that's a
Okay.
conflict of interest in property management. And but we will handle all of that. We do also offer um, for some owners that have been doing their self-management, it's really difficult for them to kind of like release that part.
Okay.
Then we'll work with them on a different plan if they want to handle their maintenance as well. Or some of them even will say, well, if I want you to call me before you do anything because I have my people. And that
Okay.
gives them the option to use their people or we
For
can
your
use
people.
ours. But we like to set that all up front so that we know.
But basically, so if somebody wanted to maybe, let's say, purchase three rentals, and kind of begin their portfolio,
Mhm.
if they wanted to hire you, your company at the highest level, it's almost completely hands on.
It's turnkey. We'll just keep
Okay.
in communication with you. You won't spend your money
Right.
without your
Right.
permission,
Right.
and because I don't want people spending my money.
Yeah.
But in all the other thing that our owners love is that when we do pay those invoices, those are uploaded to the owner portal, so they see
Okay.
the actual invoice. And
Nice.
transparency is huge for us.
Now, if let's say that somebody has a rental, and again, just to kind of keep this simple, the AC unit goes out in the middle of
Mhm.
the summer. So are you basically having to call? So the renter calls you, right?
Yes,
Calls your company.
yes.
You all would call the owner and say, "Hey, this is what happened. We had somebody go out to look at it. It needs to be, let's just say, it's been 15 years, and we just need a new one. We
Mhm.
can't fix this." And then the owner will approve that, and
That's
then
correct.
you all will
Well,
do the legwork to get the AC company out there
that
to
is correct.
replace it.
Yeah. And one of the things we do with our owners and our properties is in the management agreement, we do biannual AC
Okay.
inspections and we do them like right before like March before it gets really hot and then
Yeah.
about October before it gets really cold. And we've done this for years. And from the time that we started that, because we'd been open just a couple of years before we did that, we noticed a 90% drop
Yeah.
in emergency AC calls.
Okay. Nice. That's
So
that's
that's
awesome.
and we've got those contracted at a very fair low rate
Okay.
to do those.
And then let's talk about, so do you manage both residential and commercial?
We
Are you
do.
willing to do both?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. We have both under
What
management.
about, I realize this is kind of, I'm just curious the scope of
Yeah.
things, but what if somebody has industrial or a warehouse? Is that something you would manage as well?
We do, and
Okay.
we'll even do like RV parks.
RV parks,
Um,
nice.
we've
Okay.
we've got one of our investors that um, you know, their business model is mobile homes.
Okay, cool.
We do a little bit of everything.
Okay, nice.
So if it has doors on it or doesn't have doors on it and you don't want to mess
Yeah.
with it, call
What if
us.
it's a cave? What if I move into a cave,
I can
or I
handle
buy a cave?
I can do that. We are
So
very
any abode
yeah.
is fair
But
game.
the beautiful thing about being part of a franchise is
Yeah.
if I don't have the answer, I have got all these
Oh
people
yeah.
that have the answer to somebody's done it
How
in the
many, I'm
system.
curious, how many other franchisees for this company are there in the state of Texas?
I think there's a total of five of us.
Five.
We
Okay.
have, yeah, I'm here in Fort Worth. I
So
actually broker some of those
so
as
are
well.
you with your franchise agreement, do you have any limitations as to where you can take on clients? And what is kind of your zone where
That
you will handle property management?
that's a great question. The only limitations that we typically have with the franchise is where we market.
Okay.
But for example, if I have a real estate investor that, bought something here, but then they bought in these other areas, I can manage those anywhere.
Okay.
Or if they're just people that call us and we need to go to that area,
Okay.
I'll let them know.
Let's just say right now, what with your current portfolio, what would kind of be the like east, west, north, south? How far are you going out right
Yeah.
now?
We're going out to like Granbury, Stephenville,
Okay.
Arlington, all the DFW area, the
Yeah.
mid cities, Bridgeport,
Okay.
Denton, Decatur,
So you cover.
all the Dallas.
Got it.
We're all over
Okay.
right now where we have properties that we manage.
And guys, just to be clear, if you want to buy a home, you want to sell a home, or commercial property. If you want to buy or sell commercial, him can also help you with
Yeah.
that. Okay. So they do, she does that as well. Um, okay. So what if somebody hires you and we have a tenant who stops paying their rent? Where do you get involved in that?
We do. We can handle evictions,
Okay.
and it can be at any stage. Sometimes we have owners that have purchased properties that have a problem tenant already in place, whether it's just from a regular sale or from a probate or whatever. We can get involved at any point, and then we handle all the late, you know, all the notices. We can handle the eviction. We handle the fun part of the eviction with the constables and the move outs, and we handle the whole thing. We just let you
Okay.
know what's going on. You typically don't have to show up to court either. We have somebody that does that, and then I handle any kind of appeals that there might have. They've also changed a lot of those laws recently.
Okay. And what if you had to pick out one thing that you feel is most understood, excuse me, misunderstood about rental management? Something that when somebody comes to you and they're kind of new to this
Hmm.
industry, what would you say that one thing would be in terms of misunderstandings?
Um,
Or
not
give me the top three, whatever you
Yeah.
prefer.
So sometimes that you have owners that have purchased properties that or have properties that they're trying to rent and they need this much to cover their mortgage. So that's probably the most common challenge we have is the unrealistic rent expectations.
Okay.
And so what we'll do there, we will do, comparative market analysis. We'll go to the property, we'll give them, we'll go look at it as a rental. There's two different sets of eyes. There's when you're coming up with prices, there's eyes that are for selling and eyes that are for renting. And so sometimes you don't have to do all of the extra things that you need to do with that. And we will help you maximize your return on your investment by just because we know what works and what doesn't.
Okay. So I guess what you're saying is sometimes you get somebody that particularly, excuse me, if they have a mortgage, also you're having to pay property taxes. They may have unreal expectations in terms of how much profit they want to derive annually from the rental. Is that right?
Yeah, or even and sometimes they're more focused on the monthly
Right.
instead of the that. And if you look at it, if you do what the market says to do, then if you sit there at the high rate, it's going to be vacant longer. And if you do the math for the year, if you'll just listen to the market and do what we ask, what we know what's going to work, you're going to end up with more in your pocket at the end of the year.
Okay. Perfect. So you help people maximize and also
Yeah,
stay realistic in
right.
terms of their how much money they're going to make. Um, Pardon me, guys. Talk to us about using automation, AI, these new tools we have here in technology that I don't understand very well most of the time. So I hire people who do. Talk to us
Yes.
about that in your industry.
To hire those people being part of a property franchise system, we're actually in the process of doing a lot of
Oh, nice. So
interesting
the
stuff.
home office helps you a lot with that.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
just part of being part of the franchise. And we do already have a lot of the AI automations and capabilities with some of the things that we do that are just automatically within our software. So they're always implementing these technologies and we continue to evolve. I actually have another conference call tomorrow
Okay.
on some things that we're improving through the franchise. So um, the beautiful thing about us is it's kind of like you get the mom and pop feel with the big systems behind it.
Okay.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Perfect. Okay. I like that. So for at our firm, for example, we're a member of the American Academy of Estate Planning Attorneys, and it gives us access to a good research department,
Mhm.
it would be hard for us to do here. So I guess and it allows you to kind of function as a good boutique, smaller business with a bigger backing.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah, and can I go back to one of your other questions that you
Sure.
mentioned that one of the other things that some of the biggest mistakes they make is, well, obviously we have to check with the Texas Property Code. We handle all of that, but is how they set up their properties. And this is what we came to you for. We set up, especially if you're real estate investors and things of that nature, under LLCs or trust, you want to explain kind of the difference and some of the best ways for maybe some different situations because that helps a lot.
Yeah. So,
But
okay, so what you're saying is have me give some input on whether you
yeah,
should put a property in an LLC or a trust.
yeah, and in
Okay.
addition, they need to understand whatever those and just it's just another level of protection. When we write up the leases, we have to write the
Yeah.
exact owners on there. So look, we're either writing names or we're writing the
Yeah, so
LLC.
guys, what I recommend strongly for rentals is going to be what we call a series LLC
Mhm.
that we have in Texas. And what an LLC does in general is it shields our other assets from a lawsuit that could be initiated from the property. So, for example, if there's some dangerous condition on the property, something goes wrong, somebody is badly injured or maybe dies on the property, and the property owner gets sued by the tenant, and a judge or jury finds that yes, the property owner is at fault, which, by the way, that's not always the case, right? In Texas, we have some pretty landlord friendly laws in a lot of ways, and that's one of them. But it could happen that a property owner could be found to be at fault for that, to be negligent for that. If you have your real estate in an LLC, they can only come after the assets in the LLC with their judgment. They cannot come after, your portfolio at Edward Jones or Fidelity or Morgan Stanley. They can only come after those assets. If you have a series LLC, which we've had in Texas for about 15 years now, it further walls off the liability to where they can only go after the property in which they were injured. So if you have five rentals in a series LLC, they can only go after one of the property they were injured at. They cannot go after the other four, and they can't go after any of your assets outside of the LLC. So we like series LLC.
And I will say that if you don't know how to set one, Brandon did a great job for our personal LLCs, and he just made it super simple, just set it up for us, and it was done. And on top of that, when we did close, we just close at the title
Yeah,
company because you already had everything set up.
right.
So it makes it super simple and easy. So
Yeah.
just use him to set it all up and close.
Yeah, good guys. So again, if you have rental property and it's not in an LLC or you're thinking about it, it's a good idea. Okay, not everybody does it, but it's the best way to protect yourself legally. Let me ask you with the do-it-yourself landlord. So if we've got somebody that has, let's say, a portfolio of 5 or 6 rental properties, and because it's usually going to be the husband, says, I'm just going to manage this on my own. What are some of the common mistakes? And like, for example, for me as an estate planner, I can list off a bunch of mistakes of people why you don't want to do
Yeah.
your own estate plan. What are the reasons we don't want to manage our own property? So we'd rather hire your company.
The biggest one is not staying compliant with the Texas property code. It's one of the biggest issues we see. The laws change and the landlords aren't often aware of those changes. So when we go do those inspections at the property, and that's why we really highly suggest just doing the full management because that includes we'll go to the property and we check for Texas property code before it's rented out. And even if there is a tenant there, we can still go check out the Texas property code and still get it taken care of. Because if you have that taken care of, that takes off one other level of
Okay,
exposure.
perfect. And then with maintenance cost transparency, how do let's talk about that because that's something that there could be no cost, there could be a high cost, or could be a little bit of cost. How do you kind of handle that so that there's a good communication between you and your tenant, who's the landlord, or not, sorry, your
So,
client, who's the landlord,
mhm.
so that everybody's on the same page with maintenance and the cost of maintenance.
So we keep a $500 reserve in your account, and anytime that anything is done, maintenance period, you're going to get a communication from us. Anything over that, and you don't have funds in your account, we're going to need to. We'll have an idea of what it's going to cost ahead of time. So you're going to be putting funds in your account ahead of time, and with your approval and funds in the account, and then we get started. But we also, anytime that there is an invoice, we will process it. It's going to show up in your owner account and they can see the actual invoice. So that's just one of the things that is really different about us. Is that we're just extremely transparent because that's
Okay.
where a lot of other people do markups and we don't do that.
Now, I'm going to imagine you have some competitors in the area, right?
Hmm.
There's some other companies that in general offer similar services to what you do.
Yes.
So just kind of let us know, toot your own horn here for a minute. at All County, what do you all feel is the advantage of hiring you over some of your local competitors?
Um, you want to hear the biggest one?
Of course, yeah.
We answer our phones.
Okay, all right.
But in addition to that,
That's a complaint a lot of people have about law firms.
yeah, but that's what we do hear that from new clients that have struggled to get any kind of responses elsewhere. I have high expectations, and my team, I have an awesome team. We are very time
Okay,
sensitive
so it's
on
not
things.
just you have a team.
No, I have a
Okay.
team. It's not just me. And they are great. I'm out in the field a lot, and so I have a whole office at the team or a whole team at the office.
Yeah.
And so they are um they're just there
Okay.
all the time.
So they're
Somebody's there from 9 to 5
so
every day.
your clients at least during the week,
Yes.
during normal business hours, they're going to get a response.
Yes.
They're not going to have to wait 3 or 4 days to hear back from
Yeah. And the other thing that's a little different, we have somebody that handles our emergency phone within the team,
you. Yeah.
and that we have criteria what constitutes an emergency, but that's handled by us and not a third party, which is different because we know our clients.
Okay. And Kim, we let us know because again, like I said, we're going to get this up on social media eventually, and hopefully a lot of people will see this. But how can somebody here in Texas, if they want to inquire about your services, how can they get a hold of All County?
You can either just call us at our office,
Okay.
817-567-2500, our website, allcountygroup.com.
Okay.
And then my email's on there, and there's also a form if you want to fill that
So
out as
maybe
well.
the best place to start is
Just group.
allcountygroup.com.
Hmm.
And then from there, you could submit a form, an email, or give them a call. But it sounds like that's probably the best place to start, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is we do have our pricing structure. It has pricing on our website, so you can go look at the different plans and kind of study those. But even better yet, if you go under owners, we have our actual management agreement. If you want to look at that as well. So that's what people are most interested in. They want to know what all that's going to cost. But I'll be happy to talk to anybody and go into some more details that something specific to your needs.
Perfect. And then one last question, since you also do, work as a broker, kind of tell us right now in the Dallas Fort Worth metro area, um, in real estate, let's just say residential. That's what impacts most people. What are you seeing in terms of, is this a good market to buy in? Is it a good market to sell in? Where are we right now, do you think, in the real estate cycle in DFW?
I feel like it's a buyer's market at the moment.
Okay.
I do have quite a few sellers that um, have turned their properties into rentals for the time being until the market gets a little bit better. Now, one of the things sometimes people don't realize is you can put your house on the market for both sell and rent at the same time.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And and
And see
they
each bite you get
yes,
first.
and
Right.
I've had yes. So that's one of the other things that we
So you would
do.
say that the prices maybe
Or,
peaked around 2023.
mhm.
Now they're a little deflated. So better buyer's market, probably particularly if you have cash, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I would say so.
Wonderful. Well, hey, Kim, thank you so much for coming. It's
Thanks.
been great information. Those of you who are watching this or who will be watching this, if you do have rental properties or you're considering that, please reach out to Kim at All County. I've known Kim and her husband John for years. Super nice people. I can vouch for that. Very, very nice people, very professional. And so I would recommend them as a really good starting point, to have a conversation with them. But thank you for
Okay,
coming.
thanks for having me.
Yes, take care, guys.